And we also have religious values, economic values, social values, aesthetic values, political values, logical values. All of these things are categories of values that we can have. Characteristics of values. Values are chosen freely without any coercion or compulsion. All right. So we choose to be honest. We choose to have integrity. We choose to be hardworking. The opposite is also available to us, right? So values are freely chosen. We decide the type of values that we want. In fact, if they force you to choose certain values for yourself, it's just a matter of time. If you get to an environment where those compulsion or those pressures are no longer there, you move to your natural self. So values are supposed to be chosen without any form of compulsion or coercion. A value is chosen from a number of options, obviously, because it's a choice. What it means is that you had other alternatives available. The choice of value is made after taking into account different consequences of this choice. I think much earlier we spoke about that when I was talking about instrumental and terminal values. Most times you choose to be honest, not necessarily because you want to, right? Because I said if you choose the other way, you are likely to lose your job. And so you need to weigh consequences before you go with some values. The value chosen is practiced and then sustained and applied at different stages of life. Okay, so we choose it, we practice it, we sustain it, and then we apply it at different stages of life. So most of the things that you react to now, you didn't develop the value system now. If you're an honest person, it didn't just happen overnight. It probably started when you were a child, something happened, and so on and so forth. And then you develop that value system and so on and so forth. But as we explained earlier, the system where you find yourself could cause you to also develop some values. Otherwise, you face the consequences. Values make a man or a woman. The last point is close to that. Values becomes a part of yourself and being. That is basically what Fife was trying to say. Your values make you. Okay, so you should be known for something. When we come to your workplace, you should be known either for, it doesn't mean let go of the others, okay? Hard work, honesty, integrity, justice, fairness. You can chew on any of these ones. And what happens is that normally they rub themselves on other values as well. Okay, once you are hardworking, there is the higher tendency that you also be honest. In fact, if you were not honest, you could have found other dubious ways to make your money or get promoted instead of working hard. All right. So it is important that we get known for something. And that is the meaning of the point that values make a man or a woman. So that when we mention Anne-Marie, something should pop up about her. When we mention Osman, they should be able to say, oh, as for Osman, no, don't send bribe to him. He won't take it. Osman, is that the case? If you are looking for bribe takers, don't think about Osman. Osman, is that the case? Is my example correct? Or I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay. Let's move on. Source of values and attitudes. Osman is talking at the background. He's even insulting me. He said, you, Sepa, you don't know what you are talking about. Huh?
No, sir, I'm not.
You continue taking your bribe. Okay. That's just by the way. I don't mean that. I'm just using you as an example. Okay. Sources of values and attitudes. If you remember, we had sources of ethics. Most of these points could be very close to that. So the values and the attitudes that we have could be coming from the family that we come from. Okay, very, very important. Our family systems where we're raised can influence our values. Is it a family that cherishes hard work? Do they value honesty? Or is a family that you are sent to go and look for money? And looking for money here is not true legal or right means. Anything that you can do to make money, they are happy once you can bring money home. So the family you're coming from can influence your values and attitude. Your peer groups can influence you. And most of the time when we talk about peer influence, we think it's only meant for JHS students. No. Your peers are people that are at your level. So at any time and at any level, you can have peers. If I'm a lecturer, I have my peers, colleague lecturers like me, all right? If I am a teacher, you go to the workplace and they are there, and so on and so forth. And the people that you interact with have the capacity to influence your values. Don't forget, we said values are driven from where? Where do you get our values from? This topic is about the foundations of ethics. We mentioned 3 things and we connected them. Values, we get them from where? Not these sources, but the main one. From belief. Good. And we said we get our beliefs from?
Knowledge of facts.
Knowledge of facts, right? And this largely will come to us by way of information. Okay, so any place that we tend to get information, any system that can give us a lot of information is a system that has the capacity to influence our beliefs. Our beliefs has the capacity to influence our values, and then our values have the capacity to influence our attitudes. Okay, so the family, the kind of information you get from your family members, your peers, the role models that you have, the institutions, and institutions here doesn't necessarily mean university or JHS. It could just be even the church that you go to, religious institution. The teachings there and so on and so forth can influence our values and attitudes. Mami said, well, I saw your hand.
Can you say economic situation, can it affect your belief?
How? Explain.
I don't know how to explain this, but you see, when the economy is very tough, very harsh, it can let other people look for dubious ways to getting money.
No, then what you have is not values. Values are things that you cherish so much that no matter the circumstance, you want to hold by that.
Okay.
Okay, so you hold, that is where the values come into play. Whilst people, because of hardships in the economy, will want to do other things, because of your value system, you may choose not to do that. Okay, that is where the value thing comes to play.
I think economic hardship can't influence our values.
What? You can't convince me to accept that.
So,
I know what you are trying to say.
Hey,
and Mary.
Let me keep quiet.
Mary. Mommy said, well, don't keep quiet. What do you want to say? Say it.
You know,
yes,
the way the system is hot.
I went out maybe prostituting because they don't have money. Claim. But some people will also choose to sell instead of prostitute because of the values they carry.
Okay. Mommy said, why is that the point you were trying to make?
Yes. So so hardship will make other people venture into other businesses, which others will say because of their values and principles, they won't do that. And under normal circumstances, they wouldn't have done that to as those who are doing the prostitution. But because of economic hardship, they are doing it.
Mr. Do you know if we accept your position, even though logical, what it means is that we can justify any evil?
But
because those
I remember
who
that
commit
when we're doing ethics, When we were doing
Those
ethics, they were proud to this. There were some that we could justify them.
those ones are about beliefs. Okay. Beliefs that
Oh,
can be justified and beliefs that cannot be justified.
our values, we can't justify them.
Yes, values are things that we hold.
You
They
hold
just yeah,
you hold in high esteem. Okay.
exactly. Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Once you can offer explanation, what it means is that they are not really things that you hold so dear. All right. Yes. So there are circumstances where people are torn between lying and probably being killed. All right. Or testifying dishonestly against somebody, or they themselves will die. And they choose to die. Haven't you heard about those stories before? Okay.
We've had
Yes. So there are instances of that sort. That is
but
where we can say,
Prof,
yes,
the
yes.
thing is, values are not always what you said. That's in the hard working. The other people who are doing the opposite, the other side, and they also believe that those are the values they hold in high esteem.
Oh, no. So values
Some
should
people,
have moral. They should have.
I
They
don't know
should
if you get my
sense of,
point.
yes, I
Somebody
get your
believes
point.
that taking bribe is also.
I get your point. But those are not values. But those are vices, right? They are vices. But I get your point. But we're talking about values in the positive sense, the attributes that are positive. Okay. But somebody can also believe in vices that if you talk about hard work, they'll be laughing at you because they know whatever the things they can do to make money. Okay. But that is not the point here. We're talking about values in terms of the positive attributes. Okay, Idris.
Yeah, Prof, I, to some extent, I'm trying to understand where my message is coming from. Because when you go to the ministries, department, and agencies, some of the things they do has become normal. If you are coming to do something, you have to put that envelope down. And they see it as being smart or being intelligent, or it's something they all of them justify it. I don't want to mention a particular ministry, but I know a place I go, every department. Oh, now I can say when you be offer. So it is like, oh, it's normal. So to them, that's their values. You come here, you have to put something on the table. But
No.
also,
Idris, I don't want you guys, you are learning this stuff. I don't want you to see those things as values. They are not values.
no, to
I
them,
just no. I just corrected my misewa. It is not, the term is not like anything that you value is values. No, it's used for positive attributes. So you cannot be doing the wrong thing and say, these are my values. Are you getting the point?
yes, Prof.
So it is, when we say values, go back and check the definition. There are things of high moral standing that we can choose to call values. All right. Value doesn't mean I believe in this, so it becomes values. Okay. I believe in taking bribe, so my value system is bribe. Or I believe in any of the vices. No, they are not values. I get what you are trying to say, but they are not values. If you are into that, you are into vices, but they are not values. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. So the justification my Mr. is trying to bring is where really we'll get to know your values. Okay. We've seen in this country, the problem that we have is that the value systems are really weak. Okay. Somebody, a minister or something is not performing and they will not resign. There is some corruption scandal cases that are against them. Nobody will resign. And so on and so forth. But in jurisdictions that people have high values, if something happens in their ministry, even when they are not directly involved, in fact, they resign. There was some story of I think UK Parliament or something, British Parliament, where an MP attended parliamentary sitting late by 15 minutes or something of that sort and resigned as a result of that. All right. So those are guys that we say that they have values. Timeliness is his value. And by attending whatever late, everybody, his own people were pleading with him that this is not a serious offense for him to resign and so on and so forth. But he chose to resign from that. That really tells the kind of values that the person has. Okay. But once we can explain things away, what it means is that that particular thing is not value, something that we can call our value. Maybe something else, but not that particular thing. All right. And you guys, either you are already in the public sector or you'll be going there. All of these things you have to know. That's why we are learning them under public sector ethics and corporate governance. Okay. Yes, it's almost like a norm. Oh, they don't pay us well here. The salary is not good, so on and so forth. Once you want to find justifications, you always get them. If the salary is not good and you cannot live by your values, you have to resign and find a new job. But Mr. Wow, come and kill me. I say, what will you eat? Once you can justify, what it means is that it's not your value. Probably you have to be thinking about something else. All right. Yes. And at the workplace, people are willing to go and backbite, talk bad about their colleagues just to get promotion. You should know that those things don't fall within your values. Maybe something else. Okay. Another sub that we have to pay attention to, conflict of values. So we've already established that values are things that will hold very dear, right, to our hearts. Moral principles. We are not talking about immoral principles. So standards that we hold very dear to our hearts. But there may be instances where our personal moral principles and standards will conflict with our professional values. What it means is that the profession may have certain standards that you have to obey, and sometimes they may conflict with your personal standards. Okay. The ideal thing in all circumstances is to respect or obey professional standards instead of your personal standards, moral standards. All right. Once you feel uncomfortable and cannot keep to that standards of the profession, the best thing is probably to resign, as I've said much earlier. But you cannot be in a situation where you allow your personal values to override your the professional values of the industry in which you are working. But Mr. Why your hand is up?
Prof, I wanted to know what about your religious values? Like you are in an environment, you see the Muslims, they have to go and pray, and they've not make provisions for that. And they know that, oh, there are Muslims there. So in that case, what will you do?
Exactly. So that when we say the personal values here, we're talking about everything personal to you. So it could be your religious belief, right? Yes. So you find as a Muslim in Ghana or else, yes, in Ghana, most of the time when it's 1 p.m. or anytime close to when they have to pray, they just leave their workplace and go and pray. Okay. But if you were to find yourself in UK, in some factory, that will not give you that 30 minutes or 1 hour to go and pray. What do you have to do? Okay. You have to let go of your personal values and go by the profession. The example I normally use a lot is if you were JW something, Jehovah Witnesses, right? They are normally referred to as JW, right?
JWT. Yes, JWT.
J.
Yes, JW, JWT. Yes.
Okay. So one of their beliefs is the fact that you don't have to accept blood donation or something of that sort. All right. And I used the example in class that if you became a medical doctor from Jehovah Witnesses background, a nurse from that particular background, and a patient needed blood, okay, based on the scientific whatever that you've done on your patient, and the person needed blood to take blood from another person, in order to survive. You cannot at that point say that I am JW and I don't believe in blood transfusion or whatever, and therefore I will not make that prescription. If you do that, you will not have behaved ethically in that particular context. Okay. So at any point in time, you may have your personal values, your personal beliefs, but the profession within which you find yourself, the value systems in there should always override the values, your personal values. Once again, the solution is that if you hold those values very dear and you are not comfortable, you have to resign and leave that particular job. Okay. But if you want to stay with that job, it is important that the values of the profession overrides your personal values. All right. Any questions here? Any contribution here? Yeah. So I know in Islam, depending upon the circumstances, they can hold on to all the five prayers and do them in the evening before they sleep, right? So when they find themselves in Europe and at workplaces that they will not allow them to do that, that is what happens. Okay. But if they find themselves in a flexible environment also, they will spend 2 hours or so praying instead of attending to customers and
Prof.
Yeah.
Well, what you said, you said that anywhere you find ourselves, we should let our professional values override over our personal values. Yes. What if where you find yourself as in your organization, they are, instead of the values that you are expecting from them, you are getting vices? What do you do?
No, that is totally different. If they are vices, then you have to choose whether you want to continue with those vices or you want to leave. Okay.
Oh.
If they are vices, the answer is straightforward. If you're an ethical person, you don't have to stay. All right. But here we are talking about two good things. Don't always forget my explanation of values. We are not talking about vices. So like the medical practice, where I spoke about the fact that giving blood is part of the standard practice in order to save somebody's life. And your personal belief system value says, no, I don't have to give blood and I don't have to receive blood. At that point, we have two good things, so to speak, confronting each other. All right. If you believe in so much that blood donation is not something you want to do or is bad, then you don't have to become you don't have to practice in that particular hospital. Maybe there might be a JW hospital that will accept that type of value system and allow you to practice there, but not in the ordinary hospital as we know it. Is the explanation clear?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yes. Or the example of the Muslim and customer service that I was trying to establish, right? Serving customers at all times is value. You are offering good customer care can be considered as value. Praying at 1 p.m. is personal value that you also cherish. So we're talking about two good things contending with each other here. All right. If you cannot sacrifice it based on your personal value, then the best thing is to quit that particular job, because your personal value should not override your professional values. Okay. So we are not talking about vices at all. All right. We move to the third leg. Is there anybody who has not spoken so far in this class? I think Mami Sewa has dominated today's class. Blessling, are you with us?
Yes, Prof.
Hey, have you paid school fees? Blessling, have you finished paying your fees?
Finish? No.
That's why you are not talking, isn't it? You are a debtor, so you can't contribute.
Oh, of course not.
I've not heard your voice. Hmm?
Oh,
But I think
okay.
now you are justified for not talking because you are owing us. You have not finished paying.
Oh, really?
No,
Okay,
no, no. I'm
anyway.
making fun. Don't worry. It's just a joke. Okay.
Okay.
So I want to hear more from you guys, right? Participate.
All right.
Okay. We move to attitudes. So naturally, we move from belief, the three things that we spoke about. From belief, it moves us to our values, and our values then will inform our attitude. So your value system, which you have ingrained, is the foundation of your attitude towards life. A person's feelings, beliefs, and preconceived notions are related to their attitudes. Okay, so when we talk about attitudes, it consists of your feelings, it consists of your beliefs, as well as your preconceived notions. A learned propensity of behavior toward a person, group, object, or environment is known as attitude. So attitude is like something that has been programmed already. All right. So you've received a lot of information, you've formed your own belief system, you've formed your own values, and that then reflects in how you relate to a particular person, group, or object. When something happens within the twinkle of an eye, you form an attitude around it. And it's not coming just because of that very moment. It is something that is programmed within you for a very long time. Okay. Yes, I think today at church, somebody was asking about why, in spite of all teachings about some things, we still continue to repeat those things. And I couldn't talk. Otherwise, I was going to say that the decisions that we make normally, it's not like you're deciding there. There are things that have been wired from your upbringing and all that then tend to influence your behavior at some point in time. So if we were to judge you based on what the decision you took at any point in time, really it might be very, very wrong. Is based way far beyond what we're looking at. We have to go back and check your family background, the information that you received, the type of friends that you worked with, the information that you had, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that is what we have to know about this attitude thing. Difference between attitudes and values. So we said, don't forget, we said values inform our attitudes, all right? So attitude, they represent predisposition, right? What we are likely predisposed to do. Values relates to judgments. So we already, based on our values, we put judgment on some things. This is right, this is wrong, this is something I will do, this is what I will not do. And once the event happens, based on our values, we behave the way that we have been programmed to behave. And that then reflects in our predisposition, our attitude. Okay. Values, they are gathered from social and cultural parameters. Attitudes, they are personal. So much when I was talking about why we go back to do stuffs, I said we have to go back and look at our family, our friends. So you gather information and wiring from all manner of environments. Then personally, you tend to exhibit that. Okay. So at the point where it becomes attitudinal, it is personal. But we said it's coming from your values, but the values culminated from several experiences that you've had in life. Okay. Values, they originate from a single belief. So we then put a value on something, honesty, that's it. All right. Attitudes, they may amalgamate several beliefs. So several beliefs, as I've just explained, come together to form our attitudes. Okay. Similarities, they interact with values. So the same thing, if you have attitudes and values, we said values inform our attitude and so on and so forth. They affect the behavior of people. they are learned outcomes, they are acquired from family, peers, role models, and institutions. They are difficult to change. So all the two, values and attitude, they all have these characteristics. So let's look at the components of attitudes. All right. When we say attitude, what does it compose of? So we have cognitive or information dimension of attitude. And this consists of beliefs, values, concepts, other knowledge that the person has about an object. Okay. So follow it very well. The beliefs, the values. So, Mami Sewa, do you have a friend in the class?
Not, I
Or you
think Anne-Marie.
Anne-Marie. Okay.
I don't have a friend, but I think Anne-Marie is the one that I do. Because she's the classroom.
Let's just assume that. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's assume Anne-Marie is your very close friend. You've attended the same JHS together, SHS together, and so on and so forth. Very tight friends, right? Then one day you work together, but one day whilst you were alone, somebody came to tell you what Anne-Marie has said about you to the person. Okay. You are that, you are into drugs, you are into cocaine, blah, blah, blah. You've murdered somebody, and so on and so forth. When you see Anne-Marie, what will happen? What will happen to your face? If she comes again being all nice to you, how will you react when she comes around?
I don't think I also know back at her. I will possibly ask her whatever she said to the person.
No. I just want the natural reaction of when you see the person, or anybody in the class can
I'll
pick
frown. I'll frown.
She'll
I
frown
won't be
at
nice to I won't be nice to her.
You'll be nice to her.
Yes, I won't be nice to her.
Yes.
I'll be angry.
Yeah, but most of the time it may not be obvious, isn't it? Because you say it's different from it will take a while. What I'm saying is that some two will pretend they'll be angry, but they will be able to control themselves in a way, right?
Yes,
But
that will also
them,
play along.
You said yes, some may play along. So, but basically it will affect your feelings. That's the point. Okay. So the first one is cognitive or information. The next one is affective or emotional. So based on the information that you've heard that your friend has said about you, that is the cognitive part. That then leads to the emotions that you develop. Somebody says you'll be angry, others say we'll play along, whatever it takes. That kind of natural love that you had for the person diminishes or goes away completely. Okay. Then that then moves to the next stage of the frowning that might show at your face. Others may be more abusive and probably slap the friend that said something about them that they think wasn't right, or so on and so forth. Okay. So I want you to see the chain. So it begins with information or knowledge or belief that you've heard or you know about. That then influences your feelings. And after the feelings, that then leads to what ordinarily we refer to as behavior. Okay? Or what we refer to, attitude. All right? Most of the time, somebody's behavior is not right. You hear people saying that, oh, he doesn't have good attitude, right? He has very bad attitude. Okay? So we need to appreciate where it starts from. The behavioral aspect is just the last aspect of attitude. It starts way back from our beliefs, our values, our concepts, our knowledge, information that will program us to have certain feeling about something, and that feelings will lead us to, or that those emotions will lead us to a particular type of behavior. Is the explanation clear?
Very clear.
Is it clear?
Yes, Prof. Yes, Prof.
Okay. So anytime you develop a negative attitude towards something, okay, based on our discussions, go back and try and break it down to see why. Why did you react that way? All right. If you see somebody, I don't know how to put it, maybe injustice happening at the workplace. Somebody was supposed to be promoted and they gave it to a person of a lower rank. If it is not part of your value system, you'll not. But look at your value system, things that you have been programmed, and see your reaction and go back and decode it. You'll get to know that your behavior, whether you were angry, whether you tried beating the person, whether you destroyed, damaged something, that behavior has its roots right to the point where it was influenced by the type of beliefs and the type of information that you had. I hope I've made that point clear. Okay. So a dimension of attitude, what we know to be behavior is the last aspect of attitude that we show. But the attitude is made up of the information that we've had right from our childhood and so on and so forth. That kind of information brings a kind of feeling when we hear about something, and that feeling will lead to a particular type of reaction that is known as behavior. Okay. Characteristics of attitude. All people, irrespective of their status or intelligence, hold attitude, right? Once you're a human being, you have an attitude. Attitude causes us to behave in a particular way towards an object or person. And now I hope you understand this point better. So our belief systems, our values, the information that we have received will cause our attitude. So for most of us, if we see, say, a gay couple right now, we will have some form of attitude, okay? It will show in our faces. For those who cannot even control themselves, they want to either insult or we want to beat, become abusive of them, and so on and so forth. Okay, that is common because of the composition of attitude that we just learned. It indicates the total of a person's inclinations and feelings. All right, how we feel most of the time is based on information that we've received. It refers to one's readiness for doing work. So whatever it is, our predisposition is based on our belief system. Work here doesn't mean just physical work, but anything that we'll do, like the behavior that we'll put up, is based on the attitude that we've learned. The way we have been preconditioned will determine what we do. It causes us to behave in a particular way towards an object or person. I think we've explained it. It may be positive or negative and may be affected by age, position, and education. All right. Do you agree with that? Our attitude. The last point, that it may be affected by age, position, and education. Do we agree with that, and why?
Yes, Prof, I think it has to do with mood swing. Sometimes you have some feelings and your mood changes, which is very common with adolescents.
Okay, but yes, so when you grow old, probably it might not really be due to the things that we discussed, but I want one that is related. Yes, Anne.
When you become matured, your attitude towards things change.
Why? Why is that the case?
Well, you have learned a lot and you have seen a lot, and there are so many things you don't really care about it anymore.
That's fine. Because
And I think experience too.
Yes, all those experiences boil down to the A aspect. Was it A or C aspect? C. The cognitive or informational. Okay. So your attitude now basically is based on the information that you have, your cognitive. With age, with position, with education, all of those things get refined. All right. Get refined. That is why when you see an educated person behaving like somebody who has not who is not as educated, then you get surprised. Why? Because you expected that with education, the new information that the person has received should have refined the attitude of the person. Okay, so all these things can influence your attitude because of the seed that we spoke about. They have a way of influencing the cognitive aspect of your attitude, and that then can change your behavior or attitude. Okay. Then we have our last aspect known as virtue. We say values are positive attitudes, isn't it? I was trying to explain. So values are more or less like virtues. Okay, when you stick to a particular value for a long time and you become known for that, that becomes something like a virtue to you. So virtuous coming from that. Okay, so they are very, very related concepts, values and virtues. Okay, so virtue is a moral excellence. Virtue is a behavior that shows high moral standards, doing what is right and avoiding what is wrong. Virtue is the habit of deliberate choice of right actions. So when you opt for doing that which is right or things that are right, you become virtuous. Okay, so that is the idea of virtues. So you see that the examples are almost like the examples for values. Okay, so these are examples of major virtues: honesty, sincerity, truth, courage, temperance. All the examples that we saw under values also come under virtues. Okay. Then we have various classifications of virtues. So we have general classification, we have James Sett's classification of things that he considers to be virtues. We have Plato's virtues, we have Aristotle's consideration of stuff that he thinks to be what? Virtues. Okay. So on this note, we've ended lecture 2